Oh yeah, Golden Show, GoldenDebateShow, EarlyMorningMob.com, and we are so fucking happy. So like, comment, share, and download. Happy together. Like, comment, share, and download live from FEMA Region 1. Your boy So Love is chilling with Capster. He had to bounce. So let's get it in. Golden Debate Show, Golden Show, EarlyMorningMob.com. Keep your eyes on the prize, baby. Let's do it. Guaranteed to learn a little something, laugh a little something. You might even cry out, Definitely gonna live life to so let's get it in. The Golden Debate Show. The Golden Debate Show. Let's get it in, Golden Debate Show. Let's do it, my man. 2-minute news from YouTube. Break it down, brother. What?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of News in 2 Minutes, bringing you the news that you need to know every day. Let's begin. Reports show that one of the largest single movements of refugees may be taking place within Iraq, with data indicating that over 150,000 residents have been forced to flee Iraq's second largest city, following an ongoing battle and seizure of the city, its military command, and its infrastructure. Reports show that a faction of al-Qaeda completely overwhelmed security forces in one of the country's largest shows of force by extremism, with locals saying that once overwhelmed, police officers and military personnel began removing their firearms and uniforms and are fleeing to bordering cities as the black flag of Islamic extremist organizations continues to fly over the city's government buildings. A renegade general is reportedly continuing an air assault against Islamic extremism in Libya following talks of a ceasefire, with residents noting a sizable increase in religious fighting and extremist conversion within the country. Satellite imagery provided by a joint NASA and NOAA satellite shows that a sizable storm system is organizing within the Arabian Ocean. Scientists working with the data say that the system, named Tropical Cyclone 02A, is becoming better organized as researchers work closely to monitor potentially dangerous storm systems across the world. Reporters in Sierra Leone are commenting on the current outbreak of the Ebola virus, where they warn international officials that many of the country's citizens lack even chlorine bleach, which could be used to disinfect known areas of viral contamination. Disease experts are warning that isolation centers are not being erected quickly enough to stem the transmission of the disease, as both Guinea and Sierra Leone report an increase in officially recognized cases, with researchers stressing the need to contain the virus before a flight takes the disease to another remote and susceptible location. Watchers recorded a sudden ionospheric disturbance in Earth's upper atmosphere following a double eruption from newly formed sunspot AR2087, with X-class solar flares causing radio wave propagation disturbances here on Earth, and leading analysts to expect an increasing chance of solar flaring in the coming days. Forecasters are warning of an increasingly deadly heat wave across India following heat-related riots that left scores of protesters and security officers injured, as the nation continues to endure the highest temperature seen within the capital in the last 62 years. And to wrap things up, tens of thousands across Chile are protesting against the government and calling for massive education reforms. 30,000 families are seeking emergency shelter in Paraguay at various military facilities following widespread flooding across the region. Protests are continuing in Brazil, with reports of violent anti-government crackdowns, and a 5.4 in Papua New Guinea, followed by a string of tremors along North America's western coast, completes today's Quake Watch.
Captain sent this next clip. It's by David Wayne Miller, and it's about quantum grammar and whatnot. He's a Freemason, so always watch out what these fans say, but he also spits mad knowledge.
Benjamin Franklin, all
Golden Debate Show, open minds, not empty ones.
They were all 34-degree Master Masons. Now, I don't know if there's any Masons in the crowd, but I am a 92nd degree Mason. I know you've been taught that Masonry goes to 33 and 34 degrees for Grand Masters. The reason I'm a 92nd degree Mason is because in 1988 I broke the math interface in all 5,000 languages, proving that language is a linear equation in algebra. This hasn't been done in 8,500 years of written language. When I did so, I was able to unlock the 2/3 of all the words missing from all languages in the world, and I can write any sentence in any language, frontwards and backwards, with the same meaning. Once this was discovered, it completely, 48 hours after I published on the internet, I had 2 Secret Service agents from Washington at my front door going, "Do you realize what you've done? You've just disqualified every treaty, trust, and contract in 8,500 years on planet Earth." I says, "Well," he says, "who did you tell?" I says, "Everyone." I says I sent out 100 videos, 20 hours long, including a 100-page report on the entire studies to all nations of the United Nations and over 100 TV and news agencies around the United States. By doing that, I protected myself, because when you have a secret that is so profound that it would disqualify planet Earth, it would cause you to get shot. And at every seminar, by the end of the seminar, there's always a dozen people that walk up to you and say, "Why are you still walking around?" Well, as Pandora, destroyer of worlds. Now, you might think that that's a bad thing. The word destroyer, D-E means no, and stroy is contract. Of is an adverb which connects to a pronoun in front of it. P-R-O means no, N-O means no, and U-N means no. So the word destroyer is a no, no, no word. Of is an adverb, A-D-V. It's a modifier. Modifiers connect the pronouns in front of it and modify the verb after it. Modification is change, change is motion, motion is action, and action is verb. Therefore, the word world becomes a verb. Do you live in a world of verb, or do you live in a world of a fact? As you all know, the word world is a fact. But because it's the destroyer of verb, I destroyed the world of verb in all 5,000 languages worldwide on April 6th, 1988. And so with that said, how did this come about? Well, in 1980, I went through a divorce. And in the divorce, Judge Stanley Miller said, "You cannot be a father to your children." And he took away my children. I'm going, "Why would you do that? I've been a good father for 10 years. And he goes, "Because I'm a judge," he says, "and I can take away people's children just because I can." I says, "Well, that's sex discrimination. Under the 1964 Civil Rights Act for equality, I says, I'm going to prosecute you." And he says, "You can't prosecute judges." I says, "I beg the difference." I says, "I know what the law is. You swore to support the Constitution of the United States and the laws written by the United States Congress, Senate, and Legislature." I says, "That includes equality." I says, "If I don't have equality, that's discrimination." Pretty simple. So I prosecuted Judge Stanley Miller in 1980, and he was disbarred as a judge. 7 years later, Stanley Miller got reappointed again. 2 weeks later, after he was reappointed, I showed up in his courtroom, had him disbarred again 4 days later. Because 7 years later, 1994, got reappointed again.
There's other guys that they look like, I don't know.
I showed up in his courtroom 2 weeks after he got reappointed, had him disbarred a third time. 3 years later, he died in 1997. And never served much on the bench. Always was an administrator, but never a judge. As a result of that, when the judge took away my children, that violation, that breaking of my heart, put me on a path. That path was anger. You don't take away a parent's child. And the pain that caused, pain makes thought, thought makes wisdom, and wisdom grows to maturity.
And
so, as a result of that pain,
I don't know.
I started studying.
But he is spitting some knowledge.
Now, we go through 3 phases in life. You do not know what you do not know. Well,
what?
It's like putting your hand in fire.
Whatever what
it looks pretty.
Because whatever will be.
Burnt. Well, you know what you don't know about why you got burnt. And I was aware of what I didn't know, so I had to study. And so because I studied, I learned about what the fire was. I learned about what the pain was. And from that, I then had knowledge. And when I had knowledge, I knew what I knew. And then I could become a teacher. In 1975, I became a college professor in Milwaukee. And I was taught engineering and metallurgy, heat treating, and blueprint reading. So I've been a teacher now 75, so going on 38 years. I hold a professional license for college. I also have 3 PhDs and 535 college credits, 17 full-time years of college. Kind of got stuck in college. I really liked it. I worked third shift nights as a tool and die welder, and I went to school full-time days. I had but to fill in my spare time because I didn't sleep, I went ahead and had a second full-time job, and that was in real estate, teaching underwater welding. I had my own real estate company for 26 years, besides doing law from 1980 to present time, 32 years. I have 80,000 hours of law experience. And I've done 2,500 seminars, including over 1,000 TV and radio live performances. I did the programs on 9/11 on national television on what really happened there. There's only a few people in the world that have my background and credentials about what heat treating is, nuclear science, string theories and quantum physics. I have a 200 IQ. I read 400 words a second in math codes. It's something that's acquired art. You can give me an inch of paper and of documents, and I'll blow through it in about a minute. And I'll be able to tell you exactly about how many mistakes are in it and what to do about it. The program today is going to cover many different aspects. I'm going to go through the parts of speech, which I wrote up here. It took 6 years of my life to discover this. It isn't really what you think it is. And what they teach you in school is not what you actually...
Go to GoldenDebateShow, like, comment, share, and download, son.
Is actually what's going on. And this isn't to insult anybody, but all of you have a second grade reading level. And it isn't just you, it's the entire population of the planet was instructed and through TV, radio, newspapers, and magazines to keep you in a second grade reading level, because that way they could harvest the entire population of the planet. There's a few individuals called federal judges and chief federal judges at a state level.
There's other guys
that control what's called parse, syntax, grammar, and the secrets therein. When I broke the code in 1988, I went to the United States Supreme Court and walked in there in 1989, and I says, I'm here to prosecute William Rehnquist, Chief Supreme Court Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Immediately I was arrested for threatening the United States Supreme Court judge and taken into a closed room. Well, when we got down in that room, I had 6 marshals standing shoulder to shoulder surround me, and William Rehnquist came down from up in his chambers to see me, and I says, I have your signed confession for treason against the United States people. I says, I've used parse, syntax, grammar against your opinion since you've been in office. He says, okay, guys, you can all leave now. Mr. Miller and I are going to sit in this closed room. You've already frisked him. He has no weapons. He doesn't seem to be of stature that can overpower me. And we're going to have a little discussion. So for the next 2.5 hours, William Rehnquist and I became very good friends. And until he died and I removed him from office in June of 2005, we were pretty good friends.
Super interesting clip. I cut it and I put a little on the Golden Show. But it's the Golden Debate Show, so let's get in with the Joey Rogan experience. Here he's talking with Tony Hitchcliffe and his other boy, Red Band. They're talking about fast food. And he can't be bought.
Dave Thomas' chicken. Why doesn't Dave Thomas just sell...
I didn't know he had chicken like
he's
that.
He's dead now, but when he was alive, why didn't he sell chicken at Wendy's?
He did. There was a test market. Well, they do sell chicken at Wendy's, but there was a test...
chicken sandwiches. They don't. You can't get like a bucket of chicken.
There was a test market company that Wendy's started that I only think stayed in Columbus or at least Ohio called Sister's Chicken. I don't know if you...
Yeah, I remember that.
And they actually were way better than Kentucky Fried Chicken. They had these little chicken littles, and then oh man, it was amazing.
Chicken littles, like a nugget.
It was like White Castles, but with chicken.
Oh shit!
Just little baby
Dave Thomas sandwiches. Is like the Steve Jobs of fast food.
Well, hey, he figured out a lot of shit with Wendy's.
Yeah,
like he really did. Like one of the things was that the food is never frozen. Mm-hmm. Like if you get a steak or a hamburger patty, if you get a hamburger patty from any other place, it's usually frozen. Mm-hmm. And they just sort of like if you look at some of them, they don't even look like meat. Like White Castle, it doesn't even look like meat.
Right.
It's so confusing. You're looking at what a White Castle burger is. It's delicious, but you're like, what the fuck am I eating? But if you look at Wendy's, like. They get their patties, their big thick patties, and they get them, and they don't ever freeze them. They just throw them right onto the grill, which has got to be better, right?
Yeah.
The less you can freeze shit, you got to think like when you're eating things, you're kind of taking in like live cultures. Like if you eat yogurt, you take in live bacteria, and when you eat like anything. Whether it's, any kind of foods sort of have like some sort of bacteria or fungus on it, just a slight amount. Mm-hmm. And so when you're taking them in, you're taking in like living things. Whenever you just
totally freeze the fuck out of living things, it's never good.
Right.
You know, it just can't be good. There's something's got to be missing there. I'm no scientist, but I think when you freeze it till it's like it literally doesn't rot, like it's not supposed to happen. That's supposed to be fucked.
Yeah.
You know, like if you have crops and your crops freeze, you're supposed to be fucked.
Science.
You know, that's what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be
already.
freeze
It's
shit
just
and you're eating like
science.
frozen peas. Like what is even in those things? That shit ain't a regular pea.
That's got to cause something, right? When that stuff gets
Yeah,
frozen on the surface of a thing.
I would like to see a scientific analysis. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but I would, from my woo-woo factor, how I would describe it, I would say you're losing the essence of the life form of the plant.
So let's get it in. Uncle Adam and Uncle John, No Agenda Show. Check it out.
You have a right to be heard,
time.
and a right to be listened to, and a right not to be insulted.
Oh,
by
no,
being
you
called a
didn't,
part of a
bitch.
lunatic
One of
fringe.
those catacombs.
Now, you've concluded
There's other guys that they look like. I don't know. This don't make no
that
sense.
droughts in the
Everybody.
United States are more frequent and more intense during colder periods. Is that correct?
That's what the data seem to indicate.
Okay. No.
When we look at droughts over the last 2,000 years, they tend to become more intense and more frequent when the temperatures have become colder.
Obviously a Republican.
The science is in. Science.
So this guy and the other guy, they presented all this data about all this stuff, essentially the denialist.
Yes, horrible lies.
So they go on and on with this stuff, and then at the very end, Ed Markey, the moron from Massachusetts, here's the way he wraps it up.
Thank you very much to all of our witnesses. I appreciate you bringing your expertise to bear. We have heard today that climate change is having impacts on the ground right now. That it's not an abstract theory. It's not about models decades or multiple decades into the future. The changes on the ground right now are real and measurable.
Measurable.
They are affecting American.
He even said measure, like we say it.
Livelihoods. In farming, in hunting, in fishing, in forestry.
No.
These are real jobs and real impact on this generation and the next. We've heard about bark beetle infestations. We've heard about migrations of fish. We've heard about the impact on intensifying wildfires. The impact of magnified droughts. The impact of more acidic oceans in the Pacific. Their impact on oyster reproduction.
Oh, no, not the oysters.
I just have to wonder about if baby oysters are having troubles forming a shell. How many other shellfish impacts are there that are going to be problematic for the food chain?
Won't somebody please think of the children?
In our oceans and our fisheries. So these things are real at this moment, and they confront us with evidence that must not be ignored. Certainly, this is in the context of a debate at this moment about specific measures that we might take to limit carbon dioxide, including that from coal-fired power plants. And the cost of ignoring climate change will...
My man Dabu 7, YouTube always censoring, so in censors become like big media.
They removed my videos. They're doing this...
Spread the word while you can. These fucking
games
is outrageous with their lies and their censoring of what the truth they want to be told.
This was on my website.
When the fucking Library of fucking Alexandria was burnt, a lot of history was changed and rewritten, motherfuckers. So keep your eyes on the prize because history repeats itself with these vampers.
I never got a strike. I never got a warning. Was never told that they removed it, but it's gone. When I go through my archives, it's gone. And as you can see, the video does not exist.
Science.
Now, not only that one, but there's another one.
science.
And I have no strikes. I have no videos removed. All these are my videos. You can come here and you can go to YouTube, and when you follow the link, it's going to bring you over here. Now, if I made the video private, it would say this video is private. If I remove the video, it would say that video was removed by user. If YouTube was to remove the video, They should put up there that it was removed due to a copyright claim and put exactly whose name I violated or whatever.
There's other guys that they look like.
It's not the case, as you can see. All it is stating at this point is this video is unavailable. So if you start to see this, this is a sure sign when it's
the realist newsman James Smith breaks it down really. Little article about debt slavery, and it's a farce article, but kind of makes sense.
The title is the
really more on top of debt society. They want a plastic society first, which then even lead to an even more debt.
Filed under Bankster.
The debate show. EarlyMoneyMind.com. I come and share and download. Keep free fucking.
When I read this, it kind of dawned on me that this is kind of not just a stimulus package. This is kind of how a debt-based society works. Kind of like the whole world right now, including us. So, fractional reserve lending. We print these dollar bills that we have to borrow into existence with interest attached. We have to then taxpayer money, pay back monthly payments to these people at interest for the money that they borrowed or let us borrow, etc. But it's kind of like a person in debt. It's similar to this stimulus package, the secret behind it. So he says, stay with this one. This is good, and it is. It's a slow day in the small town of Pump Handle, and the streets are deserted. Times are tough, everybody is in debt, and everybody is living on credit. That's pretty much today, by the way. Everyone's now living on credit. Most people. A tourist visiting the area drives through the town, stops at the motel, and lays a $100 bill on the desk saying he wants to inspect the rooms upstairs to pick one for the night. I'll leave my $100 here for you. As soon as he walks upstairs, the motel owner grabs the $100 bill and runs next door to pay his debt to the butcher. The butcher takes the $100 and runs down the street to pay his debt to the pig farmer. The pig farmer takes the $100 and heads off to pay his bill to his supplier, the co-op. The guy at the co-op takes the $100 bill and runs to pay his debt to the local, how am I going to say this to be family friendly, female servicer of guys. So he takes his $100, the co-op guy takes the $100 to pay his debt to the female worker, who has also been facing hard times and has had to offer her services on credit. Pay me tomorrow, pay me next week, we're good, that kind of thing. She then rushes to the hotel, the same hotel this guy just started off at, and pays off her room bill that she owes, because she also told him, I'll pay you later, make your payment later. So now she's catching up back with the hotel owner. The first hotel owner that we talked about, this guy walked in the door at. The hotel guy then places the $100 bill right back on the counter so that the original traveler who went upstairs to inspect the rooms doesn't suspect anything. The $100 is right back on the table. At that moment, the traveler comes down the stairs, states that the rooms are not satisfactory. I'm taking the $100 and I'm leaving. Didn't like it.
So I was
that, my friends, is how
watching a clip that I couldn't really get no good clips for. It was really a visual, but they were breaking down ancient mounds, whatever, and a lot of natural stuff from the earth and why things are built where they're built, whatever, and a lot of ancient things. So Cap sent this, which is going to tie into some of the other thing. The man-hewn of Hawaii, ancient race or fictional fairy tale. In Hawaiian mythology, the Maine-Yun are said to be an ancient race of people small in stature who lived in Hawaii before the settlers arrived from Polynesia. Many scholars attribute these territories found on Hawaiian Islands to the Maine-Yun. However, others have argued that the legends of the Maine-Yun are a post-European contact mythology and that no such race existed. The mythology of the Man-Yun are as old as the beginnings of Polynesian history. When the first Polynesians arrived in Hawaii, they found dams, fish ponds, roads, and even temples, all said to be built by the Man-Yun, who were superb craftspeople. Some of these structures still exist and are highly skilled craftsmanship is evident. According to legend, each Man-Yun was a master of certain craft and had one special function. They accomplished with great precise and expertise, they would set out at dusk and build something in one night, and if this was not achieved, it would be a bandit. So, but this tied in because I had started looking at some structured, we all know in FEMA Region 1, CT, and we got big natural mound. Now, a lot of big natural mounds that look like giants, if you will, or other lifelike structures only look like human for face from one side. Ours, we have something called the Sleeping Giant here in Connecticut, and from both sides, that shit looks like a giant, y'all. Sleeping Giant, also known as Mount Carmel of South Central Connecticut, with a high point of course I hit my computers, of 739 feet. It is a rugged trap-rack mountain located 8 miles north of New Haven, and it's part of the narrow, linear Mattacamic Ridge that extends from Long Island Sound near New Haven north through the Connecticut River Valley in Massachusetts to the Vermont border. A prominent landscape feature visible for miles, the Sleeping Giant receives its name from its anthropomorphic resemblance of a slumbering human figure as seen from both the north and the south. The giant is known as its expensive cliff vistas, rugged topography, and microclimate ecosystems. Most of the giant is located within the Sleeping Giant State Park. The mountain is a popular recreation resource, over 30 miles of hiking trails traverse, and includes 5 miles of the 23 Quinnipiac Trail. Quinnipiac University is located at Mount Carmel's foot in Hamden. I want to bring it down to the history. According to Native Americans of the Quinnipiac tribe, the giant stone spirit Hobunuk, a prominent wicked figure in many stories, became enraged about the mistreatment of his people and stomped his foot down in anger, diverting the course of the Connecticut River, where the river suddenly swings east in Middletown, Connecticut, after several hundred miles of running due south. To prevent him from wreaking such havoc in the future, the good spirit Kanitian cast a spell on Hobunuk to sleep forever as the prominent man-life-like form of the Sleeping Giant. During the mid-19th century, spurred by painters of the Hudson River School and transcendentalists, can't say the artist word, philosophers such as Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David throughout, I can't even speak today, an interest in mountains is, so they got into it. But what's crazy is they renamed it Mount Carmel. And a lot of these mountains and natural things are all over, especially North America, but all over the world. And people say there's ley lines on there, and there's usually interesting things built around there. And they believe that there's ancient giants that built a lot of this stuff. Science. The mount builders, if you will. Okay. Mount being, so the etymology is Carmel, mountain in northern Israel, from the Latin Carmel, or from the Greek Carmel, and from the Hebrew Carmel, garden and fertile field. And mount meaning that on which something is mounted, and of course I can't find where the other mount was. Oh, Mount Hilltop, mountain, nape of the neck,
God!
Down
to stand out. Those catacombs. There's other guys. What they look like, I don't know. I'll read
quickly off of shockingtimes.co.uk. Anesthesiast who sent shocking sex-stirring surgery suspended. Anesthesiast from Seattle has been suspended by medical authorities after it was discovered he had been sending sex text which contained sexually explicit content. Rick Mile, British comedian and actor, died of 56.
The obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night. This station and hundreds of other radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed of all developments.
Like, comment, share, and download, and get the word on the show as much as you possibly can. Aloha, Riverchi, hasta la vista, hasta luego, ciao, good golden journey, ciao, sayonara, good see you at the flippity flip, like, comment, share, and download, what? Golden Debate Show, Golden Show, is one of my dad I lost it at the end, everybody. Hell, everybody, but we'll pick it up next time, every Wednesday and every Saturday. Golden Show, Golden Debate Show, take care of each other and yourselves, and stay fucking wise, and keep your eyes on the prize. Closing the lights in FEMA Region 1. Peace, everybody.
Golden Debate Show. Golden Debate Show, Golden
Debate Show, Golden Show, Golden Cuts, Golden Roll. We out. What about that guy?
You better talk with big chat. You know we're coming out the bat. Golden Show, Golden
Obama! Whooping the Constitution!